Elon Musk has made a very interesting move today. He has provided Starlink service to Ukraine during this turmoil that's happening there. And personally, I do think that's a good thing because keeping communications open from both sides of the spectrum is a good way to kind of weed out the propaganda. If Ukraine were to lose its infrastructure and all of a sudden we couldn't communicate with them, we would have to rely on the one side of information that gets put out there. And yes, even though Ukraine has propaganda, Russia has propaganda, it's hard to tell which side of the fence you should be on for this. It's much better to have both sides of the aisle being able to communicate with each other. And I do appreciate the fact that Elon Musk is going out of his way to do it, because in the end, if Russia's the only source of information, it'll be impossible to tell what is and isn't true. If Ukraine's the only source of information, it'll be impossible to tell what is and isn't true. And I know there's a lot more nuances with this situation than I initially gave it over the last couple days, and I've been a lot more imbalanced with it than I should have been. So I'm looking at this as a win for Ukraine in the idea that communications will remain open. And this is also a step where if Russia decides to try to shut down Starlink, he would have to somehow take out their satellites. And if that were the case, then he's basically opening the doors for all form of warfare at that point. And I don't think he wants to go full-out war, but it'll really depend on his actions that he takes from here. And don't get me wrong, if the neo-Nazis that are there decide to pick up arms and kind of instigate worse situations, I can see more bloodshed in the future. But Elon Musk is doing the right thing. And just so you know I'm not lying about this, here's the tweet right now from Mikhailo Fedorov, I butchered that name, at Elon Musk. While you try to colonize Mars, Russia tries to occupy Ukraine. While your rockets successfully land from space, Russian rockets attack Ukrainian civil people. We ask you to provide Ukraine with Starlink stations and to address sane Russians to stand. Starlink service is now active in Ukraine, more terminals en route. So, he has definitely done that, and I know there's going to be more going to them, but I'm very happy to see that communication, whether the infrastructure topples or not, will still be around. The only issue with this, though, is if they go after power and take away the power, how will the Starlink stations work? So I'm kind of curious to see what the next moves are going to be made from here, and I'm kind of curious to see where Putin decides to focus. Because if he's trying to go for all-out war, he will make the steps for it. But if he's not, I'm very curious to see what his endgame goal ends up being. Is it really to denazify Ukraine? Is it to take Ukraine? Is it to start a world war? Only time will tell at this point. But I'm trying to remain level-headed and balanced in this case. But only time will tell from here. And I will do my best to cover it from both sides of the spectrum. Whether that's liked or disliked by the lot of you, I'm not sure. But I'm going to try to remain as neutral on the topic as possible when covering it. Because I have learned in the last 2 days that picking a side is not the way to essentially do the news. And yeah, I'm just going to kind of go from there. Anyways, guys, love you all. See you all next time. And I hope you will appreciate the new form of content and the new thought process I have going into this now. Love you guys. Bye-bye.